Welcome to the first video on programming in the C language. There's lots of reasons to learn C. There's actually quite a few reasons not to learn C. It depends on what your goals are. I'm going to assume that you already want to learn C, whether it's mandated on you or for whatever the reason. I actually would like to talk about the pros and cons of C versus other language. Probably keep that for another video. So you're going to learn C, and perhaps if you have access to a Linux environment, I would highly recommend that. I'm going to show everything in Windows, as most people have Windows and will probably be using Windows as their development platform. And then as far as the environment, we could use a basic environment and just program or write our code in Notepad, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use an IDE, which I would definitely recommend. Eclipse is good, but I think for our purposes, the Visual C++ by the Visual Studio Suite is actually preferred. So if you do a Google search for this, click the install now, save it to your, I'm saving it to my desktop, and execute that file and install it. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do that. Once you get it installed, go ahead and open it from your start menu. On opening it up, it should look like this. There's no recent projects because you will have not created any. You just installed it. Go ahead and create a new project. So actually, let me back up. First of all, you may be saying, wait a minute, I'm trying to learn C, not C++. C++ is a superset, so anything written in C, the C++ compiler will compile and run. So it's no problem. Don't worry. Perhaps we can take some of the projects that we've written in C and extend them to using C++. But for now, let's go ahead and create a new project. Several different projects exist. A lot of these are wizards, and especially for beginning programming and C, such as low-level language, I want to create an empty project. I don't want some wizard creating files in the background and not fully understanding what's going on. So name our empty project Hello World. And we are given an empty project. There are no files, so let's go ahead and create a new one. And we want to create a C++ file and call this main. Actually, let's just call it Hello World. You can name it whatever you want. Okay, so we got our first program. The first thing we want to do is write our main function. It's part of the C programming language to start executing in main. So to write a function, you always give it the parentheses for the arguments and encapsulate the entire function in the curly braces. So what we want to do is use a printf function, and what that does is write to the standard out or the console, and we'll type hello world. Beauty about writing things in an IDE is it tells you when things are wrong. So if we hover over the printf statement, it says identifier printf is undefined. Well, what's happening here is printf is not part of the C language like main is. Printf is actually a library function, and the library that it's in is standard.io.h. So include that at the top of the file, and notice as soon as I type that in, the squiggly red line indicating an error went away. So some of these features within the IDEs make programming much more pleasant. So I want to build the solution. So I like to use these. I'm going to be using start debugging and build solution a lot. That's F5 and F7. So F7 to compile it, and we have an error. So it says missing type specifier int assumed. So the problem there is int or the functions require a return value. Normally in the return value is by default int, and I would assume that this would have been a warning, not an error. Actually here, I guess no, C++ does not support the default int. Okay, so it's saying that no longer are we saying the default can be int. You have to specify it. So, okay, we will specify int and recompile using the F7 key, and it succeeds. So that's kind of interesting that it required me to place int, and normally when a function requires you to return a value, you have to say like return 0 and return an actual value. Found it interesting that it didn't give a warning on that, but hey, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and leave this so we compiled correctly, and let's run it, which was F5 key. And we run it, and it looks like it had some errors. We have these items down here, cannot find or open the PDB file. So strangely, believe it or not, nothing was wrong. It worked correctly. This is a part of kind of the oddities of programming basic console level applications in a Windows environment. So we can do a couple things. First off, this application is located in Visual Studio Projects, Hello World. Okay, so let me go there. That was in Visual Studio Projects, Hello World, and Hello World. And hold on. Debug. So Hello World debug. So let me go back one. I'm using the Windows Vista. If you hold down Shift and right left key, there's an open command window here. Wonderful little tip. I think for Windows XP does not have that. I'm not quite sure about Windows 7. Windows XP, there is I think it's the Power Toys by Microsoft you can download to give that functionality, the option to open a command prompt in the context menu. So we are here, and we can see that we have hello world.exe. It's to open up here, the directory listing in the command prompt is the same as in the Windows Explorer. And if I run hello world, typing tab will finish what I was about to type. Another nice little shortcut. And we execute it, and it says it prints hello world. So it's behaving like we want to, but when we run it from here, let me run it again, it's not what we want. It comes up, it probably printed hello world really quickly and then closed the console so quick that we couldn't see what was going on. So it's not the most ideal environment, but we can get around that. We can I think it's get char, and what basically that function is doing, it's another function within the standard IO library. That function is basically waiting on input from the user, from the keyboard, to type in a character. So let's go ahead and execute that. And now then, the console came up, it printed hello world, and now it's just waiting on input from the user. So to end that, just hit the enter key, and it goes away, and we're returned back into Visual C++.